Hi y'all, welcome back to Discus Talk. I know you guys are coming in and we'll be in here in just a minute. So I'm going to give it a minute. I've got some notes I've got sitting here, some things I want to talk about with the medications and such. I know you guys know that I do a lot of research on the medicines, so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And I can't seem to get my chat to come up, but that'll be okay. I think it'll come up. First thing I want to do is I want to do a shout out because I haven't done this since we started the YouTube channel, and I think it's really important to do that. The first one's going to be Royce Eric and the crew at Discus Inside Out. They made me a moderator 2.5 years ago, I think. And really got me involved in the community, which I had not been before. I'd always done the research and things like that, kind of behind the scenes, but they got me to be more involved in it, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. Pat Husband and Brian Wilhite from Simply Discus, both the Facebook group and the forums, which I'm a moderator at Simply Discus as well. They have been very supportive. Brian is there when I have questions, and you know it goes both ways. These are our background people. You don't see them a whole lot, but they're the ones that, hey, they see something and they work on it behind the scenes a little bit. Kim Bowser, you guys met in a previous live stream from Great Black Swamp Discus. That's they're her Facebook group. Also the group, the organization in Ohio. Pete, I cannot say your last name. I do not want to butcher it. Pete is from Discus Review. He and I discuss more natural treatments for discus rather than doing the medicine route. Hans Discus, he's been really supportive. I do have some of Hans's discus, and he has great discus. His website or his Facebook group is Hans Discus. And it says more than that, but I can't remember what the rest of it is. Nigel Proctor has been informative for some of the stuff that's not available in the UK. His group is Planet Discus. Anpa has been helpful. Anpa does a lot of the microscope stuff that I also do. And they're in the Canadian Discus Fish Breeders. And I want to mention April Ross, who has answered a lot of questions for me on transshipping. She's a transshipper out of Canada. If you guys in Canada need something brought in, that's who you need to talk to. Right now, I'm going to try to fix the chat real quick so I can see it. That's not good. Let me go back to this. Do not know how to fix the chat, so we may not be able to chat today, but I'll get that figured out later on. Today's topic is going to be medications. We did this once. We did it in one of the groups on Facebook, and I wish that I had done it here because it's a really important topic and it needs to be covered. The reason that I decided to do this live stream now is there are new medications coming on the market. Some of them are not safe. And I want to get, a little bit more information out there about the medications, which ones are safe, which ones, they're all safe. So the best remedy for any illness is to not have an illness. Keep your tank clean. You keep your discus with a good variety of food. Not one food, not two foods. You need a variety. You need flakes, you need granulates, you need frozen, you need, just switch it up. Get them different vitamins. We do not know what their nutrient needs are. So you need to get them a lot of different nutrients to keep it in there. It's not going to hurt them to have different foods. just keep your water clean, keep your discus healthy. You don't have an issue, but there are issues. When you have an issue, it needs to be resolved. So you have to know what's going on, because if you don't know what's going on, you can't fix it, right? That's number one. Then you have to know, well, what treatment can I use? And I know a lot of people want to use tea tree oil, or they want to use some other natural remedy, but not all of those will work, especially if it's a really bad infection or something like that. And I've told people that, and I've actually got some surprising information for you guys here in a little bit. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk about the safety of medications. And we've talked about this before, using the wrong medication and, how that causes superbugs and that sort of thing. But I went through, and I already knew this, there's a lot of medications that cannot be used on fish that are going to be used for food, like your tilapias and that sort of thing. So I went through and I pulled those out because they're obviously not safe for people. And if they're not safe for people, how safe are they for the fish? And I was curious about that. So I actually went through and looked up what medications. I was trying to look up what medications are banned from use. And I actually couldn't find that, but I did find a list of the medications that are available for use in food fish. And that list is very short. And that was kind of surprising. I can't say most of these, but some of the ones that we use, the ones that are available to us, are formalin, hydrogen peroxide, chloramine T, which I was actually surprised to see that on there, the oxytetracycline, and that's it. Those are the only ones. Now I take that back. Terramycin is on here too, which is another form of oxy. Those are the only ones that we can actually get. So, I mean, that was kind of surprising. Those are the only ones that they are allowed to put in food or in fish that we're going to be eating. So, guys, I have chat up. I actually got it on my phone. That's what I was doing a minute ago. Some of the new medications I'm going to go over in a minute. I want to go over the older medications first. Kanamycin sulfate is gram-negative and some gram-positive. We've talked about that before. It's good for the Furendi, Florence, Hydrophila are all resistant to it by 56%. And that's well over half. So, I mean, it has gotten to a point where some of these medications are not being useful anymore. Roger, I'll get to your question in a minute. It is water soluble. This is the one thing that surprised me in humans, and a lot of this is I'm going to go over what the side effects in humans are, because we don't know what the side effects in fish are. They do a study, and the study may be 3 days, it may be 10 days, it may be 2 weeks, and then they do necropsy on the fish, so the fish are destroyed, and they see if there's any damage. Well, some of these medications will stay in the fish's kidneys and liver for up to a month, so they really don't know the side effects of the medications. While kanamycin sulfate in humans can cause fertility damage and can harm unborn children. And I found that surprising. So we don't know if you use this with your discus, if it's going to cause any issues long term. Now, that being said, we kanamycin sulfate and we are discus, they've bred, so, maybe not. But it's something to look at. Interesting. Levamisole is a dewormer. Everybody knows that. It is specifically for roundworm. I found an interesting note. It is highly toxic in humans. It's also highly toxic in fish if it's used at the incorrect dosage and if it's used on long term. But it also had in there for, and this is environmental, it says harmful to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. They're talking about if it gets out into the environment. This is one of the reasons that I tell people not to deworm your fish once a month, because if you've gotten rid of the worms, you're bringing everything into quarantine where you're going to deworm them, then you shouldn't have worms in your aquarium anymore. They don't just appear out of nowhere. If you've done the proper treatment, which with levamisole is day 1, day 5, and day 13 treatment. If you've done that and you do that with everything else that's coming in, you should not have any worms in your aquarium. So there's no reason to deworm once a month. All right, metronidazole. Metronidazole treats anaerobic bacterial infections and protozoa infections. Now, that being said, the studies recently have shown that metronidazole is no longer effective as an antibiotic. So the only reason we use it at this point is for protozoal infection, hexamida. There's several others, Giardia, and a few other intestinal parasites. I see a lot of times people say you need to deworm your fish, go get some Metro. Metro is not a dewormer. It will not deworm your fish. However, if you have used Metro and your fish have improved, then they probably had a protozoa infection rather than a worm infection. Metronidazole is one of the ones that they do not allow you to use it in food fish, and this one was a big one. It is a cancer-causing agent. And if you should overdose, and this is something everybody needs to be measuring their fish meds, you need to get a gram scale and you need to make sure you've got the right dosage. If you overdose on metronidazole, it causes peripheral neuropathy, damage to the central nervous system, which would cause them to swim erratically. It can cause whirling disease, or what we call whirling disease. It can cause seizures. You really, really have to be careful with dosing the medication. And there is no antidote or no treatment for an overdose of metronidazole. Sorry, y'all. Neomycin sulfate is an antibacterial. It's a broad spectrum antibiotic, which means it can do both gram positive and gram negative. In humans, it does not absorb well, as far as, because it's used for skin conditions and stuff, and it really doesn't absorb very well. It can cause reproductive damage in humans, and it can also cause you to lose a child. It causes damage to the organs with repeat dosing or prolonged exposure. We don't use a lot of neomycin that I know of. I don't even have it in my fish room, so I'm not sure that we even use it. That's another medication that you need to be careful not to overdose with. They injected 12 dogs, 4 each, with 24, 48, and 96 milligram per kilo of weight. And in 1 to 3 weeks, all of the ones that had been treated with 96 milligram had died. So overdosing on these medications is not good. Most of everybody, I think, knows that, especially the ones who are supporting the channel. Already know that. It's just really important to be careful with your dosage. I'm not trying to scare you guys, because the reason I'm going through this is 2 reasons, actually, because the new medication's coming out, and with summer coming on, we're going to have an increase in bacterial growth. There's a higher probability of bacterial infections if the conditions are right. So it's best to be prepared for that, and I'm going to try to help do that. Okay, I can't see that, sorry. The next one is nitrofurazone. We've talked a lot about this one because this one is very, very commonly used in the hobby. It treats gram-negative bacterial infections and very few gram-positive. It is not at all effective against Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas is completely resistant to the nitrofurazone at this point. In humans, it's used to treat wounds and injuries, and that includes flesh-eating bacteria such as Aeromonas, which we do have in our aquariums. It is used to treat that, and it is not reported to be toxic to humans. So that one is not really a bad one. I still would be careful with your dosage and not overdose. Let's see, what else did I do on our... And I'm saving the best for last because you guys are going to like this. Oxytetracycline is another broad-spectrum antibiotic. It's both gram-positive and gram-negative. It is suspected of causing fertility problems in humans, but there is no actual proof, and it can cause harm to breastfeeding children. So something to think about if you're putting oxytetracycline in food and feeding it to your discus, and you've got discus have fry on their back, that's not a really, really good idea. And I thought that most of us do that anyway. Praziquantel. Praziquantel is your tapeworm dewormer. It treats trematodes and cestodes. But keep in mind, it is a pesticide. So if you overdose your fish with it, guess what happens? The same thing that happens to the worms. You can very much overdose. There is a rare occurrence of humans having liver injury from use of praziquantel. And yes, they do use it in humans because we are capable of getting tapeworms. Let's go to, all right, let's go with, I think I've done all of the most commonly used. So let me go back to the start. And I'm skipping one because I don't really want to talk about it. Okay, this one scared the crap out of me when I saw it. And I messaged one of my medication suppliers, and I said, look, this is not working for me. You're going to have to put out a warning with this medication. This medication is called lincomycin. It is a gram-positive and anaerobic bacterial antibiotic. And this is the research I do. This is a new one that we didn't have previously that's about to come on the market. And this is my warning to all of you. They did in vitro on zebra fry and zebra eggs, treating them with this medication, and they had head and neural deformities in vitro. So this one is absolutely not safe for babies or eggs. I recommend just not using it. We have too many good medications that do this, that we do not need to use something that's going to cause deformities in our fish. Okay, further. Another one that's coming that I have heard of is called oxalic acid, and it is one of the quinolones. I can't even say the thing. It's a broad spectrum antibiotic, which means it can go for a lot of the different problems. Should not be used with barbiturates. If you're giving barbiturates to your fish, we're going to have an issue. And it can cause them to look kind of zombie-ish. It does have side effects. So, I mean, a lot of these medications do have side effects. We just don't know what all of them are. Diflubenzuron. I have not seen that one actually for sale at any of the medication places that I order from. It is an insecticide, actually, and it is good for stuff that we don't generally see, like fish lice, anchorworms, a lot of the external parasite type things. I haven't used it. I think it has been available for pond use, but that one's diflubenzuron. So if you guys see anybody that's got anchorworms or something like that, you can let them know. I didn't get time to look that one up. Fluconazole can't say it. It's an antifungal agent, and it has no real side effects, so that's a good antifungal. That's about it for those for right now. But I mean, all of this you saw, most of these medications in humans can cause reproductive issues that can cause problems with unborn children. So you do need to be careful with your medications with your fish, because when they do the studies, they only do a study for at most 10 to 14 days. And with the medication still being in the system, they really don't know what the long-term effects are. With these new medicines coming, they still don't know. They haven't had time to really study them. I did good by going up to the human side and looking up their uses in humans. And that's where I got the idea for some of this, was from that. Roger, you asked me about potassium permanganate. I do not use it. I opt out for the formalin or the formaldehyde 37%, because potassium permanganate is the same. It's an oxidizer, but you actually have to have a stock mixture and then dose from the stock mixture based on color. And that is not a good way to dose medications. Most of the people I've seen use it are using too much based on the color of the water. So I really don't think it's a very safe medication to use when they're safer ones. It does the same as the Prazi as far as the gill flukes and stuff like that. And I'll mention a couple of other ones that are also probably safer than that. I want to say hi to Bob, who's our moderator today. Hi, Bob. And hello to Joe. And Joe, I need to make you a moderator at some point. I haven't done that yet. I want to go back to the beginning. I forgot to thank somebody. I think I got everybody else with Discus Inside Out, Simply Discus, most of the groups. But I want to thank my husband, who's been very supportive and has put up with people messaging me at strange times and me having to answer their questions about their sick fish and all of that. He's been very, very patient about that. A lot of times we're in the middle of a movie and somebody messages, and I stop and I go out of the room and I try to give it whatever they need, help them out before I go back and watch the rest of the movie. So I really appreciate my husband for being so thoughtful and supporting me in all of this. Do you guys have any questions before I go to this last little thing? Because I would love to get, if you guys have any questions, get those questions answered. I don't dose it by gallon. I actually got my dosage from my veterinarian in Florida, and we do 5 milliliters in a 50-gallon tank. And we did that one dose and let it sit, because formalin goes out of the water on its own. So we did that once a week for 4 weeks. I do believe I know what's in bacticide. I will not release the ingredients out of respect for the company. Sorry, Joe. But that one is not coming out. I wish I could. I will say that I do believe that both products are perfectly safe to use if the dosages are correct. Hi, Katie. Nice to see you. Seeing some of my old friends in here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this, because I'm kind of surprised. Okay, you guys know I looked up Melifix and I found the research data showing that Melifix or tea tree oil has absolutely no antibacterial properties. Okay, and I actually shared that in the group, but it has no antibacterial properties whatsoever. And it's advertised as being an antibacterial medication, all natural. Um, I was trying to look up Hemofix because I really have trouble finding any studies done on it. Um, it's pimenta racemosa, which is bay rum tree oil. And I actually did some searches using the scientific name for this uh, Thursday or Friday. And I've actually found some research. That was pretty interesting because they did a study, and I believe it was using guppies, and they actually used both Melafix and Pemafix on guppies that had fungal infection, bacterial issues, and they had gill flus. They didn't help the bacterial infection. They didn't help the fungal infection, but I'll be darned if they didn't kill all of the gill flus. So there you have it, an actual use for Melafix and Pemafix. And that was really, really surprising for me. And I'm sure it surprises you guys too. Anybody that's actually interested in that study, I'd be happy to share that as well. And I'll also be willing to share the study for the lincomycin for anybody that's interested in seeing that. Like I said, I absolutely do not, under any circumstances, recommend lincomycin. The lady I buy from, when she sees this, and she probably will see it, is probably going to be mad at me for saying that. But I do not think that a medication that causes that kind of deformities should even be used in the hobby at all. So that is my personal opinion on that. You guys may think differently, but I think there's too many medications that work, that still work, that can be used in place of that. There's no place that it's needed, really. Joel Gus, you have a 4.5-inch discus hanging near bottom, eating less than like your food. 14 days of metronidazole, which cleared it up, but now back after 2 weeks. 14 days of metronidazole is longer than is needed. And what dosage did you use? Or do you know? And is he eating? If he's eating, you can take it and make a seafood mix from the metronidazole and try to feed him that and see if he'll eat it. That actually works better than in the water. Normally, I don't recommend mixing it in food because it's too difficult to get the dosage right. And it very, very well may be just that fish. I would also put him in a quarantine tank. 1 gram to 20 gallons. You would have to put that in grams. I cannot remember what the dosage is. I think the metronidazole we do a 1/4 teaspoon. Eating only pellets. I have no idea, Joel. If you want, when we finish this live stream, you can message me on Facebook and we will discuss what's going on, because just based off of that is not enough. To say what's going on. But it very well could be a bacterial infection or something. Metroplex. Metroplex does not have full strength metronidazole, I don't think. Can somebody confirm that? I know Francis isn't watching today because of the soccer game, but my soccer game went off already. Let's see. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? As if not, I am going to shut her down. You guys are awesome. I just want to say that. I mean, I said thanks to everybody else who is supporting the channel. And they are all supporting the channel in different ways. All of these different groups that allow me to post the link to the stream. The ones that, just offer support and say, how can I help? even a little bit. It's, it's a big help. And anybody that shares the stream, that sends the stream further, that's always a big help as well. So please share away. Let's get our subscribers up. If I get my subscribers up, I can actually use a camera or a phone to do the live streams and do videos and stuff. And then I can take you guys and walk around and show you what's going on. As you see, I've got 2 tanks running behind me, and this is my hospital room. I've got, which actually this is my guppy tank. I've got guppies in there. I set it up a few days ago, and in this tank we've got a batch of babies. They're about an inch and a half that seem to have something going on, so I brought them in here so I can watch them and see what's going on and do some, pooples and check and see if I can find anything. Is that line? That sounds about right for the dosage on the metronidazole, about 500 milligram in a 10. Roger, absolutely. As soon as I can do the videos from my phone. Joe, when the lady gave them to me, she said they're fancy guppies. They're nothing special. I am considering doing a transshipment on some guppies, some really nice ones, but I just don't want to get overrun with guppies. I really want to concentrate on the discus, but we are actually doing an experiment with the guppies. So those are my research guppies. I cannot read that. Okay. You guys can see the babies a little bit. I wish I could zoom in on the thing, but I can't, unfortunately. They're swimming around. They're actually doing real good. So they're eating good. That's for darn sure. Those guys are little pigs. Anything else, you guys? Katie, I am very glad that you joined us today. And Joel, I don't think I've seen you before, so welcome to the channel. And Tom, it was nice to see you here as well. I don't know if you caught the beginning of it or not. Joe, I am going to try to make you a moderator real quick. Yep. Okay, I've got you. Okay. Yes, Joe, I had an excellent weekend. I am so ready to go to work tomorrow. No doubt. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. It has been fun chatting. I hope that you guys have learned something about the medications. Like I said, the Pemafix and Melafix, I've only seen the one research study on. The fact that it kills flukes just blew my mind. But do remember that you cannot use that for fungal infections, and it can't be used for bacterial infections. You really have to have an antibiotic for that. Any treatment for cross-contamination? We actually have a video on cross-contamination, Muhammad, if you want to go and watch it. But our treatment for that is malachite green and formalin mixed with salt. And we usually use a high dosage of salt, somewhere around 5 tablespoons per 10 gallon. And you can go and watch the cross-contamination videos about that. Actually, somebody watching right now has dealt with it, or is dealing with it, and he's not through it yet, but he's working on it. And there is no 100% cure for it unless you actually know what bacteria you're dealing with. You may lose fish even with the treatment, but you hope that you can save some of them. You're very welcome, Muhammad. So, all right, guys, it has been fun discussing this with you, and hopefully I will have a guest next week or next time. I'm not sure which guest it'll be yet. It's going to be wait and see. But I wanted to try out the streaming straight from the YouTube. I'm actually streaming straight from the YouTube today instead of going through the Zoom program. But I can only do that if it's only one person, because only one person can stream from the YouTube. So I wanted to try that and see how that goes and how it works. But I am definitely going to try to have a guest in either next week or the week after. I think they're almost ready. Matter of fact, the guest that I've got that I'm hoping will be in the next couple of weeks, actually also watching today. So hopefully we'll get that going. But you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday, and we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.